from this time to this time, we ain't on our phones or whatever the case may be. Like me, you know me, like sometimes it's hard to get me on the phone, period.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is now the fifth episode of the Let's Rap podcast. I'm your host, Philosophical.
And I'm your host, Jay Echo. Welcome everybody.
You know, Today we're going to be talking about how social media dictates our relationships. As we know, we're in a social media era, on how uh, pretty much, that includes television, movies, social media. A lot of social media is driven basically through all types of facets of our life, whether that's through marketing, promoting, attention based, whatever the case may be. So we can pretty much say that social media is pretty much, you can say, is daily life. You know, some of us can't go a day without being on social media, or maybe even an hour. Even sometimes getting out of bed, picking up our phone, seeing what's going on. It's almost like turning on the news.
Yep.
So it's crazy because social media, in terms of all types. We got a lot of them out there. It can really either help your relationship, or it can really damage your relationship, to the point where it's all about, you know if you're not happy at home, as far as who you're with, or whatever the case may be, we tend to make choices to the fact we start to really search on social media. That seems to be the easiest platform, uh, and I'm including dating sites. To kind of look elsewhere.
Mhm.
What I call kind of like the cancel culture. A lot of that seems to be going on, very prominent, and it seems to be becoming more common these days.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it?
Uh, I would say I agree in some ways, and in some ways, well, nah, I'd say I agree. A lot of media shapes a lot of how we maneuver through the world, whether we realize it or not. You know, um, as something as simple as you saw a movie, and one of the characters, the way they behaved or something spoke to you, or the a message that was s- running as subtext in the movie or something like that, you didn't even realize how it could affect you, but then it starts showing up in your life in ways that you couldn't even, you're not even aware of.
I think it's
uh
more than that, to where now it's getting to the point where, if you're out somewhere, you're hanging out, it can get to a point where, like, if you're out to dinner, lunch, or breakfast, wherever, and the two of you are on the phone looking on some social media together, and you're right in front of each other.
Yeah, that's a thing that's happened to me also.
It is happening a lot, where social media takes over our lives. It's become a part of kind of who we are, to the point where it's like, it becomes second nature than taking the showers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I'll own, even on my side, like depending on how I wake up is basically how the rest of my day is going to go. So if I wake up, I get up, I brush my teeth, I go work out and all of that sort of stuff. I do like the normal everyday stuff, then I'm probably going to have a more productive day. But if I wake up and the first thing I do is open my computer and start watching something, then that means, like, yeah, my day is probably gonna move a lot slower, and I'm probably gonna accomplish a lot less
yeah,
because I'm gonna spend more time than necessary on YouTube or whatever the case may be. For me, the social media I usually go to is YouTube. So, like, I'm not really on Facebook like that. I'm not really on IG like that anymore. Um, I'm I'm not on Twitter really, and yeah, so throw me on YouTube and I'll be there for hours. But that
Funny you
sure
mentioned.
there's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of funny you mentioned that because I'm pretty much in all of them. And I look at it from a perspective of, the average person, man and woman, we kind of look at it as an attention grab. We put a status out there. Now, with Instagram, you got pictures, you got videos, and like, we're on it constantly to the fact that we want to see who's watching. We want to see who likes it. We want to see
Yeah, that's
who,
I
uh,
think that's part of the problem though. I
yeah,
think a lot of it is for attention as opposed to like a lot of it is is fickle is what I'll say. Like sure the internet is a great place. You know, you can find all sorts of information, all sorts of
the internet is undefeated.
news and everything like that. But
Well,
what
the internet is undefeated, right?
yeah, it's undefeated. Like can't nobody beat the internet.
And nowadays, social media is a part of people's jobs. So I think there is a positive and a negative to a lot.
Yeah.
There's
There are
a positivity
positives and
with,
negatives to it, but I think a lot of people uh I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of what's it called? The amount of sway that not just social media, but media in general has over people. Like
but
for instance,
I do think it is up to us because we do make the choice to sign up for those social media. We do make the choice to check those social media.
yeah.
I just kind of wonder, like, what would it be like if like me or any average person decided to say, you know what, I'm gonna get off Facebook, I'm gonna get off Instagram, I'm gonna get off Twitter. Would that person survive? Would it come down to a point where it's like,
I
huh?
mean, you better get very comfortable with newspapers and local news, but yeah, you can survive. It's just a matter of like
Some people can't. Some people
some
can't.
people can't, but that speaks to me of like you have a problem at that point. Like if you can't go a day without having to like now I understand like checking in with people who know you and are making sure you're still alive and everything like that. Like that makes sense. Do by all means do that. But if you can't spend a day without seeing who else in the world is watching you or watching somebody else, I think there's an issue there. I think a lot of people are very uncomfortable with the idea of just sitting with themselves and that's why they look for distractions.
Yeah. So what's your take on like the whole attention towards social media? You got your Instagram models. It's really changed the dynamic of how women are being approached. Men are being on the fact of how men should approach a woman. Nowadays, it's more about, man, I'm gonna just slide in her DMs. I'm gonna just let me just. A lot of times now, I will say, I think social media can be a positive in regards to getting to know someone because you can kind of go on their page and kind of see, all right, what type of pictures are they putting up? What are some of the statuses they saying? Who are they friends with?
So here's what I'll say to that because I think, like you said, there's positives and negatives. Like, yes, there are some people who it's like, yeah, this is just the place I go to put myself out there, type of thing. There are people who do that, and it's a great way to meet those kinds of people. But you can't forget that media is often curated. You're not seeing everything. A lot of people will be flexing. A lot of people are just doing it for the gram or World Star or wherever you want to do it. A lot of people are just stunting so people can watch, like you said, grabbing attention. And I think that can be dangerous. I mean, it's about how far you take it in either direction. Like I don't think I don't think the intention of social media was for people to like start whole businesses or everything like that. Just oh my whole life is social media. I am now a brand, all of that. I don't think that was anybody's intention when it first started. But
Nah,
that's what it is right now.
that's what it turned into.
Yeah, that's what it turned into.
And now the brand is turned into individual people.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't know
And
how come this has turned into, like I'm an Instagram model because that's my brand.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I show these pictures and do these videos because that's my brand.
And I think the way that manifests in relationships is, you at that point, if you're curating everything at that point, then nobody gets to see the real you and nobody can connect with you on a real level at that point.
That's true.
Because at that point, it's just about, oh, what's it called? How do I look as opposed to who am I in this current moment? A lot of people will do stuff just for appearances and not for the right reasons. And I think that's where the problems come in.
Where
You
do you
know,
where do you cross the line if you're in a relationship? You know what I mean? Where do you if you're dating someone that was on social media before, if you're like if they're constantly on social media, and I know sometimes, man, that can cause insecurity, man, to the fact that you're on there all day, all the time. And as a man, that can make me feel like, man, you're on social media more than you're spending time with me. How do what do we do? Like what's kind of like the alternative? What's the option? You know what I mean? Because that type of stuff, I mean, you start there's so much going on. You know,
yeah.
looking at
And
go ahead.
and I can also see how like somebody in a relationship would see their partner on social media all day and be like, well, who's sliding into your DMs real quick? Like
That's the type
who.
of picture they put up. Who
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. And I genuinely think that's something that you have to negotiate with your person. Like it's not something we think about,
That's a
but
tough
I think it's something we have to start thinking about because I think a lot of people, you know, well, at least me, I won't talk to a lot of people because I know my interactions with social media might be a little bit different than other people's.
that's a
But
tough one, man. That's really tough.
yeah, but like that's a conversation that you need to have. Like if
Is this a
one,
conversation
like
you have before?
when are you off of it? Like, oh, from this time to this time, we ain't on our phones or whatever the case may be. Like me, you know me, like sometimes it's hard to get me on the phone, period.
Oh yeah.
And that's more because I'm plugged in so often, like because I'm working on something or I'm reading something on my machine that it's very easy for me to just be like, you know what? I'm leaving my phone alone because I too many screens. I'm doing too much right now. So I'll just straight up ignore it. Now that's still not healthy because I'm still looking at a screen. I'm doing other things with the screen, but it's still not healthy. Um and but like in terms of when I'm with somebody, when I'm with you or a friend or my lady or whatever the case may be, there's going to be a period of time when I'm putting my phone down unless that's what we're doing, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta have that conversation to say if social media is a problem now, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a problem later because those type of conversations don't really go away unless
Yeah,
you made a true commitment to say, you know what? I mean, you're either gonna have to completely weigh off and get off it, or it's gonna have to be one of those times where you're gonna have the conversation to lay some ground rules and say, you know what, I'm not gonna be on social media during this time. When I'm with
yeah,
you, and to be honest, that was one of the things I was looking at. You know what I mean? When we would go out, like, if you constantly on your phone, like you constantly on social media and stuff like that, man, more than likely, you know, somebody in your DMs, or you constantly craving some type of attention that potentially I probably can't give you.
yeah. I mean, I I think there's two sides to that. I think they might be craving it because they're not sure they're getting it, or they're not getting what exactly what they need. And I think that's part of, like, you need to sit with yourself and figure that
Well,
out.
that brings up another question. Is
uh
it really our job to give a woman all that self attention, or a woman to give a man all that self attention? Because part of that could be insecurity.
yeah, I say it's I mean, we've spoken a couple times about everybody brings their situation to the relationship, right? Everybody brings their baggage, everybody brings their all of that. Everybody brings what they bring.
Yeah.
So, in terms of insecurities and all that, like, yes, somebody, like, you have to do your own work. Let's knock that out the way right now. Let's get that straight.
Yeah.
You have to do your own work. But
What do
at
you
the
mean by
same time,
you got to do your own work? What do you mean by that? Because in relationships, there's a certain standard and
yeah,
expectation,
yeah, yeah.
and somebody's standard expectation to be like they want you to match the type of attention you need, they need from you, and some of that is unreasonable. Some of it is
Yeah,
like
no, I
that is
feel like
that is.
that's why I say, like, you need to do your own work because
Give me an example.
for instance, I was in a relationship and like, this person had, like, serious problems of what's it called? Like, fear of infidelity, things like that.
Okay. Now that could have
And
been fear of infidelity. Could have been, possibly that they may have been cheated on before.
yeah, they were,
Oh,
they were. And, and I was aware of that. Now, in the beginning of the relationship, I would still do things that would trigger that for them. Like, I would be on social media, like, liking pics like you do,
but you can't.
uh,
I mean, but okay, so that's
but
a situation where we explained before, where potentially that person was bringing baggage into the relationship.
yes, that's the case. But at the same time, it was like, look, how, like, I had to make the decision for me, like, okay, how important is getting on IG and liking pics as opposed to this person, to me personally?
But
Like,
but
does this really matter that much to me? Like, the IG, does it really matter that much to me? And it's like, no, it doesn't. So that choice was easy for me, you know. But again, I wasn't act like, I didn't have my whole life on IG. I would literally just get on there, scroll through pics and like stuff. That's all I would do. I wasn't messaging nobody. I wasn't sliding in nobody DMs, but that was me specifically. Now,
but I think in that terms of a situation is that if you're on social media and she feels some type of way, that could be cause to where you have to constantly reassure that person, like, you know, I'm not that person you were with that cheated on you.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
But
that's
sometimes that that conversation is no good. You know what I mean? That conversation means nothing because at the end of the day, the way a person feels, a way a person feels about a certain situation or what I call a trigger,
mhm.
sometimes it takes years to get over that. I mean, a lot.
Yeah, but that's why I said you have to do your own work, because, like, I made the choice in that specific relationship that, look, I know this is triggering you. I have no issue stopping because it doesn't mean that much to me. So I can stop. I'm good. And on the other side, I care about you. So I'm going to do the things, I'm going to do what I can. Not everything. I'm going to do what I can to make you feel comfortable in this situation, in our relationship, because I am part of this relationship with you. That's the choice I've made as your partner. Like, yo, I'm gonna try my best to make sure you're good. That's just me. That might not be everybody else, but that's me personally.
And that's kind of the expectation and standard that you guys have got to set for the relationship.
Exactly. But we set that standard, we set that what's it called? We set that expectation. So moving forward, I'm not gonna sit here and say like I didn't still slip at certain times. Like I would do things without thinking about it,
Yeah,
and
but
that would cause some stuff.
that's the thing about it. Standards and expectations have got to be set to the fact that you don't like something, but if it's a part or potentially something that is a part of you or part of your life, is something you want to do, it's okay to say, all right, if you feel like this is a trigger, this is a problem, because you can never say that I'm never going to get on social media or I'm never.
Yeah, and I think that's I
There's got
think
to be
in
a balance to where okay, I know
yeah,
it bothers you, so I won't do it around you, or out of respect for you, I'm not gonna like any pictures, or you will never. I have nothing to hide. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be in somebody else's DM. I'm just
yeah.
on there for the sake of, you know, social media can be used as it's like news. What's going on in the world today?
I mean, for me, a lot of times it's for downtime. Like, yo, I need to turn my brain off because like I said, I'd be in my head all the time. So if I need to turn my brain off, I have no problem like jumping onto YouTube and just watching something dumb so I can what's it called? Or maybe not even something dumb. Sometimes I'll hop on YouTube and watch a video essay on about something
Mhm.
or things like that. Like it has its uses. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I think the danger comes in when you don't have boundaries around social media. And I think that's with everybody.
Correct.
And I think the other danger is social media can can skew how you view the world. It
Correct.
can narrow your view of the world in an unhealthy way.
Correct. Yeah, I agree. It can skew you. It can skew your relationship. It can skew your thinking process. All of
Yeah.
it. Too much of a bad thing is not a good thing.
Yeah, actually, I was doing some reading the other day, and people were saying that like part of the reason part of the reason like things like anxiety and depression are on the rise is because of social media. Like people are seeing like oh, look at this IG model. I ain't got a body like this person, so obviously I'm failing at life. Or oh, look at this person. He whipping the new S class, and I'm in a Volkswagen Jetta. Like I can't. There's no way I can keep up. And without realizing it, you're setting unrealistic standards for yourself because you're trying to match what you've seen in social media as this is where you need to go. This is where you need to strive towards.
Correct. Correct.
And and that can be a problem. That can be a very serious problem because you set unrealistic expectations for yourself and conversely for your partner or for the person you're with.
Yeah. So these are kind of my final thoughts. Social media when it comes to relationships can definitely dictate relationships. What we see sometimes can kind of dictate on what or how we should be as a person. Like, oh, this person, like you said before, this person has a brand new house, new car. Man, I need to go out and do that. And it can cause anxiety and depression. And I truly feel like that's where a lot of the cyberbullying potentially comes from. You know, I'm better than you the way you look. So I have a right to treat you any old kind of way. And in relationships, a lot of times, man, seeing those things on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it can really, really make man and a woman feel like it's starting to make you investigate different things. Because if you see something you really like out there, it'll make you dig to the point where it's like, huh, who is this person? What are they doing? You know what I mean? And like,
That internet rabbit hole is serious,
it's
man.
serious. The internet is undefeated. You know what I mean? So, like, as far as a final thought on this, it's like, be very careful, you know, on what you see on the internet, on what you see on social media, because it can really dictate your mindset. It can really dictate and make you think in ways that really are triggers for yourself. Depression, anxiety. It makes you feel lonely. Even though you may be married, have a family, it makes you feel lonely. You know what I'm saying? So just make sure, I'm not an advocate to sit out here and try to bash social media. No. All I'm saying is be very careful what you put into your eyesight, into your mind sight, into your mind sight.
Yeah, I would agree, to wrap up my final thoughts, like I would say I agree with a lot of the points you've made, uh old school saying. I know we're kind of a fan of old school sayings on this show, but like garbage in, garbage out. Like what you put into your eyes, what you put into your mind is what you're going to put out into the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're constantly consuming, basically foolishness and garbage, or stuff that's fabricated, stuff that has no substance behind it, or maybe stuff that you can't verify the substance behind it,
Yeah.
then you're you're not going to be able to build a solid foundation. And that's personally, that's interpersonally, that's with everything.
The energy you got in is the energy you're pretty much gonna receive.
Exactly.
You know?
And in terms of how it can affect your relationships, like the like all of it is about moderation, really, for me. Like all of this stuff, moderation and compromise. Because like we said, there are very positive ways that you can use social media. Like I was watching a show the other day where there was a story on the news about this this girl. This she finished high school, she was ready for college, she was get going to medical school, but because of the pandemic and everything like that, she had to use her college savings to pay for her family's housing and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's a horrible story that you see on social media, but because of that story being out there on social media, people will she started a GoFundMe. Sure, her goal was $75,000. She's if last time I checked, she was at 170,000.
Wow.
So she's going to school paid for because of help from social media. So there are definitely positive ways in which you can use it, but on the other side of it, with things like things like cyberbullying, things like doxing, things like I won't say cancel culture, because I feel like cancel culture has its place. My only issue with cancel culture is that it makes it very easy for people to not do any extra work. um and by people I mean the people who are getting canceled. It's very easy to say, yo, well, I'm already canceled and nobody cares, so why even try at this point? And they don't grow, they don't evolve, they don't learn. Stuff like that, that's dangerous. Stuff like that is bad. But at the same time, social media does have its uses, does have its purposes. It's all about, again, the boundaries you set for yourself and for basically everything you're using, whether that's in a relationship or whether that's for yourself.
I agree. I do think, a lot of social media is also people kind of searching and looking for answers also.
Yeah.
To a point where like, what do I do in this situation? What do I do in that situation? You know what I mean? And that comes from a lack of communication within ourselves.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That comes from because you can get so many different answers, so many different results from all types of different people. You just don't know the type of baggage some people may have that may give you that answer you're looking for. So
Yeah, I mean, we're all just trying to find answers, and you put the internet in front of us, which is an amazing tool, like we've said a bunch of different times, and you go to it for answers. But as amazing as it is, it's also a very large and interesting place that you can get lost if you're not careful.
yeah. Well, everybody, you know what I mean. Follow our socials: Twitter at Let's Rap Two, Instagram Let's Rap underscore, YouTube Let's Rap. Uh, appreciate all the support. Appreciate you guys joining us on this journey. Continue to join us on this journey. And God bless to you. And this is philosophical. Peace.
Take it easy, y'all.